This episode of the Long Run Podcast is sponsored by Skechers.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Long Run live stream and podcast brought to you by the 40 Runs running community and our generous sponsors, Skechers. My name's Ian Wilson, and tonight we're going to be talking about running every day. And the whole gang's here. It's like our Christmas party. We've just got everybody's just rocked up. So we thought, well, we'll just get everybody on. So here they all are. So let's say hello to everybody.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Sabrina kicks off. Yeah, Sabrina's here. Chris is here. Hayden's here. Al's here. Toby's here at the moment, unless he gets bored and he just sort of slopes off and takes his picture away because he's not bringing any value, but hopefully he will. How are we all doing, everybody?
Good, but who's meant to go first? Because there's so many of us, we don't know what to do.
You're top left. You are on my picture anyway, so like, we do that.
Well, Wilco, you've upset Buds because you did say that Buds is here.
Oh, right. Apologies. We'll just rewind a little bit.
Because he can understand. Well. If you're watching the live stream, if you're listening to this and you're not watching the live stream, Buds is on the channel tonight.
Chris is
basically scratching at the door and he wanted to come in. So I could chuck him out any time, but he's having a good time at the moment. Right. So anyway, what are we talking about tonight?
We are going to talk about running every day because we are at the end of 2022. Mm-hmm. So January the 1st is a big red run January. Also, we had a big celebration of two members of the FORDY community on Saturday who were doing their 1,000th running every day, Anine and Ben. And it was a big day down at Clapham, Hayden.
It certainly was. Great day, great meet up. Everyone was out in force to celebrate their great achievement of running every day. I thought it was a really good day. Really well organised event. Everything about it, I thought, just fell into place. Brilliant. Bit cold.
Yeah. Well, it's December, mate. You know, this happens.
That would be why it is then.
A big crowd out.
Yeah, there's about 50 of us.
50?
Yeah, there's about 50. I reckon there's at least 50 FORDYs, if not more. We were...
So about 10% of the crowd.
I reckon you're probably talking more than that. I reckon there's more than that, to be honest.
Do you?
It's a big old picture.
Yeah,
2 hidden FORDYs.
There was quite a few in that, to be honest with you. I'll be straight up. The reason, by the way, if you're wondering why we're all on this, is because after this we're filming, whatever they call it, a Christmas special. Because basically we can't be bothered to do this over Christmas.
Yeah.
So we're doing a Christmas thing. Hayden looks like he's already been to a Christmas party. His hat slightly tilted. I'm just updating the listeners on the podcast. Yeah. His hat slightly tilted. He looks like he's been out on the tools. I don't know whose house he's in. It could be. Let us know. What's the thing you got to go to, Wilco, on the website?
It's 40runs.com/long run.
Yeah, let us know if Hayden's been in your house tonight.
Yeah, and try and have a guess about how many pints Hayden's in. I'm going about 4.5.
He's definitely, Hayden, you've definitely been on the sauce before you've done.
He's got that cheeky little smile about him.
Yeah,
you're way off. I'm just saying, it's just been a long week, long day. No, I'm just glad to be at home in the heat and relaxing.
Now, Chris, you did say that
he's only got the heating on because his missus has gone away. It's like Nick's out at the moment. I put the heating on. As soon as she comes in, that's going off, and I've got 18 lads to put on. I'm gonna get absolutely destroyed when she gets home. It's the same with you.
If they were organised, they'd be on the app and they could turn it down while you're there, thinking, "Oh, I don't think they need it quite that warm on a Friday night. I think I'll just turn that down."
Don't give her ideas, Wilco.
Excuse me for a sec.
Now, people were talking about, they wanted to say, give a shout out for the run director at Clapham. What a top job he did. Did anybody get his name?
No, but he was a really nice guy.
But he was incredible, and so were all of the marshals, all of the volunteers. I thought it was one of the best organised, well-run park runs we've been to in a long time, and I think yeah, shout out to them for being so kind and accommodating. Yeah, they were brilliant. So,
and also,
and
if
friendly.
you are from Clapham Common Park Run, our good friend of the show, Kim Tobin, was doing some pictures down there, and she's been on Facebook trying to get hold of some people so that she can deliver them to you, but she can't get hold of your Facebook or your Twitter or Insta or anything like that. So if you're involved with Clapham Common Park Run, drop us a line at fordyruns.com/longrun, and we will put you in touch with her if you don't see her messages. But she's got loads of people. She's got about 500, and she's like, well, I need to send them to people and tell them what they're doing.
She's brilliant. The video drops on Sunday from that event, and it was so cool. I tell you what was really cool was having an opportunity to speak to both of them whilst running along and getting a bit of an insight into, and that's what we're going to talk about today, but why they did it, how it was. Because, 1,000 days are long. I mean, like, for example, Ben, it's going to be 3 years in March, right, that he's been running for. So watch that video on Sunday. It comes out 11 o'clock UK time. And actually, talking of which, I've got to let you in a little secret. I think it's going to come out Monday. This is for the shoe geeks out there. I've watched the video that comes out on Monday. I've got some friends who have helped me out with a video. You'll love it. So watch that video on Monday. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I just watch it on Monday. But the Sunday is the vlog from the 1,000 days, which we're talking about. But I've got to say that the team at Clapham, it was a very friendly and welcoming park run. There's some park runs out there that I have noticed. I'm going to get strung up as always for this. Get ready to get lynched, FORDY. But I have noticed, right, and let us know. I've been to a couple recently because we've been moving around, and some of them are a bit cliquey. I've noticed in terms of the teams that organise them. I would say it's a worrying sign that I'm seeing from some park run, and I'm not naming any of them because I would say 99.9% of them are amazing. But there's one or two that I have been to recently that you can tell they're a little bit cliquey and they're a little bit closed off. And some of the run directors, who I appreciate, have a very stressful job trying to get all the volunteers and that together. I think they just need to chill out a bit. I've seen it a few times now. So remember why you're doing it, people, because you're doing an amazing job. You're doing awesome things. And I know it's super, super hard, and I appreciate that. But it was so lovely, the people at Clapham, how friendly they were and how welcoming. It was like the perfect example of what park run should be and how welcoming it should be. And as I say, it's something I've noticed. Have you guys noticed that from any recently?
Don't forget, Chris, it was topped up with FORDYs, the volunteer roster. So, we had 3 or 4 of our guys that couldn't run or chose not to run, actually topping up the roster. So, if in doubt, invite the FORDYs along. We'll make sure you don't have that problem.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. But have you noticed that out at any of the park runs you've done?
I think, as you know, I've kind of travelled and been to over 30 different park runs. They've all got, good and bad things about them. Sometimes people will kind of go, it's 4 laps. But it's what you make of it. Oh, yeah. In terms of the run director, I think it just comes down to the personality. You're right. I've been at some park runs where you just want to get going because you just want to die while they're kind of doing the briefing. And we can't all be like you, Chris, in terms of having that charisma and personality.
I know, I appreciate that, and I get, you know what, it's really stressful. Like, you talk to Petra, you talk to Amanda. I mean, again, I'm just sending love their way. But I've just commented that I have noticed, and it's only my opinion, that I have noticed recently. There's 1 or 2 park runs that I go to that they might have to have a little check for themselves.
The best ones I've been to where they don't take themselves too seriously. The best ones I've been to is where they don't take themselves too seriously. Yeah, you've got rules and you have to kind of go through the T's and C's of park run, but the ones that engage the audience, the ones that make it a bit of fun, they're the ones that kind of you want to go back to. You go, yeah, it was worth the trip. I'll go back for that. Sets the tone.
I think it's the fact that everyone that goes to a park run as well appreciates that these are run by volunteers, right? People giving up their time, which is incredible, and what they're doing for so many people in a community and environment is amazing. And you appreciate that they've got to go through health and safety. They've got to go through things and all of that. It's important for everyone that's there to keep everyone safe and the rest of it. But I think there's a way in which you can do it, and it's not about having to be jumping off of a like jumping from the rooftops and singing and dancing, but just a bit of kindness because.
I'll give you an example, right? Sorry, I mean, I'll give you an example. Like, there was a bloke who had a go at somebody for walking across a chute, right? And again, I appreciate health and safety, but the bloke clearly never been to that park run before, and he didn't know where he had to go.
Yeah.
And the bloke laid into him, and I thought that's a bit strong. Like, had a right go at him. Oh, get out of the way, runners coming through. The bloke genuinely was looking at his token. He was as pleased as punch, and he walked through. And I just looked over. I thought, you could have probably just said, mind yourself, mate. Just be careful. The runners are coming through. You know what I mean? So again, I'm not having a go. I'm just saying it was so nice and so good at Clapham. It did make me think, oh, actually, maybe some of the other guys could probably have had, step it up a little bit. But yeah, I tell you what, it's an amazing thing. If you ever go to Bushy, we talk about organisation. I mean, that's like they have more people there than some races. So that team who do Bushy, big shout out to Mel Howes and the rest of the guys. They do an amazing job of getting it. I don't know how they do it. It's incredible.
Well, they get, partly it's because they get roughly, I think they have to have about 45 to 50 volunteers every single Saturday. So without that, I don't think it goes ahead. So they have a big team, and it's run really well. And I think because it's a bigger one as well, you don't get that personality clash. I do get where you're coming from. I think it's when you go to the smaller ones and the people all know each other all the time, it can be cliquey. And then it becomes very regimental. If someone pops up, do you know what? This isn't an offensive comment. You're probably a prime example. You bowl up there, you're loud. You want to take over the whole place. Yeah, you're going to put someone's nose out and they're going to think straight away, oh, look at this bloke. And you do something wrong, put out a line, they're going to think, I'm going to come down on him. I just think that's what it is. You get that in all walks of life. That's not just park run. But I agree with that. But I think the bigger ones, like Clapham, which was big, and Bushy, you don't tend to get that as much. You've got a really good vibe. Actually, I just noticed as well that Kim's just commented saying, I think the run director's name down at Clapham actually was Alex.
Hero. Absolute hero.
Yeah.
Well done, Alex. Thanks so much for everybody having a great experience.
It shows it on the video on that we put out, how much, how good he was. But also, I tell you what was amazing about him was he was there, all the runners coming in. That was what was so cool, was the encouragement that he was giving, and his volunteers were giving, because the volunteers again were amazing. But it was the encouragement that he was giving all the runners coming. And again, you've got idiots like me turning up, right, and ruining their day and mucking everything up because I am an idiot. But they dealt with that and ran with it, and they were brilliant down there. So I would really recommend Clapham Common. I know it's different parts of the world. We've got people listening to this in Mongolia and whatnot, but if you can get a flight from like Mongolia or the Philippines to Clapham Common, I would recommend it. Right
now, before we go on to talk about Red, hands up who's excited about going to Chicago?
Well, not me, because I'm not going.
Well, we don't always have to talk about you. Who else is? Half the crew.
Half the crew. We could do a show from Chicago.
Yeah, the Windy City, my kind of town.
Yeah, I like it, Will.
Brilliant. So, Sabrina, you got it. Hayden, I assume that you qualified.
I did, yeah.
And you've done it before.
When you get to his age, it's easier.
You're very blasé about these majors. Like, you're knocking them off like nobody's business. Now, Sabrina, tell me about your ballot experience and getting in the Chicago Marathon.
Well, this kind of wasn't meant to happen, if I'm honest. So I entered the ballot with a few others, including Petra and Tracy Whittington. And we all went, oh, this would be a great girls' weekend. Why don't we just all, honestly, why don't we enter the ballot? After Hayden and Helen going, oh, yeah, everyone gets a place. So I was like, all right, great. And then it was, right, how about Petra gets a place? Because she's a machine. She can run it, and we'll just go for a good time. We'll go and support. And then yesterday, suddenly, I get accepted. I was like, what? And I'm waiting for them, and they're going, we've got nothing. We haven't heard anything. And then suddenly I realised that I've got a place. Nobody else has got a place.
Brilliant.
Now you're excited, don't you?
Yeah, I am. I think it's... I'm excited. Simon got a place as well, which is amazing. So we're going to head out together. But I think this is like, you realise, I've been really sick this week with flu, and suddenly you just realise we're so fortunate, right, to be fit and healthy enough generally to be able to go and run a marathon, right?
Amen.
Hard work. And I think whenever I've run the last couple of marathons, I've always had this thing in my head about running a time, there's been a pressure. And suddenly I just went, this is a once in a lifetime thing, right? To be able to go across the world, basically, run a marathon in an incredible city. I'm looking forward to the adventure. So yeah.
Have you been to America?
Yeah, I've been to America. I've been to Chicago, actually. And Chicago is an amazing city from what I remember. So I am, I'm super excited.
Wilco, I've got my hand up, right? Because I'm like a schoolboy. I have to step in. I have to. It's really important that the viewers and the listeners hear this from me, especially. Toby, you'll back me up on this. I know you don't say more than one word, but you will back me up on this, right? Admin, I'm only doing London. I'm only doing London. I'm going to cross that bridge and I'm going to do London. That's me done. Right, okay. Does London? Manchester. I'm going to do Manchester. And no, boys, that's it. I'm done. Manchester, I'm
Edinburgh
done.
first.
That's it. No more. I'm going to run a time. That's it. Oh, Chicago ballot. Straight in there. Oh, I've got a Chicago place. See you later. I'm off to Chicago. So all I would say is don't believe a word that she says. No, that's unfair. Good at you, mate. Well done. Well done.
And now you got in as well.
Yeah, so I haven't had my email yet, so I'm slightly worried, but I've checked in my dashboard. It's all there. But I got tipped off by someone else on this group that what you do is you don't refresh your emails, you refresh your credit card statement. So I knew through my credit card taking a hit mid-morning that I'd been successful. So I've run in other countries, but it'll be the first time I've run in America. Seriously, I've done a park run. Nothing against park runs in America, but it'll be an opportunity to experience a marathon. And Carolyn, my partner's done Chicago and has done New York, and she said they're just another level, in terms of the way the crowd get behind you right from the first mile. So, yeah, now just working out where to stay. Bloody expensive, Sabrina, if you haven't already looked.
Yeah. I've got some serious FOMO because I thought, because they're about the same time as Berlin, aren't they? Very, very close. And I thought, I know what will happen. If I put in for both ballots, I'll get both. So I just went for Berlin. And of course, nobody got Berlin, did they? That was like, I think there was about 3 people on the whole 40 group who got in that.
That's a good point.
And now I'm like, oh, everyone's going to Chicago. Which I was going.
Yeah, I know. That Berlin thing's a bit weird, right? We was talking about this, funny enough, London on the Satellite Club on Wednesday. Because it's a weird one. I don't know what's gone on at Berlin this year. I don't know whether because of what happened with Kipchoge and all that sort of stuff, that everyone just went in big on the ballot. Like they saw a massive uptake in terms of numbers because hardly anyone you speak to seems to have got in. Where Chicago is the other way around. It's a real weird one. How where before people were getting into Berlin and not necessarily Chicago.
Maybe people have seen Berlin, in a post-COVID world, seen it gone off, seen it's back to normal, and then sort of like got back into the swing of things and got into it like that, and it maybe just taking a bit longer to happen in America. I don't know.
It's a funny one, but we've got our guru on Chicago down in the bottom corner who's still awake. He looks like Toby most weeks. So, Toby, this is if you look at Hayden, that's how you look most weeks.
What, naturally beautiful?
No, that's not. Absolutely not. It couldn't be further from the truth. So, Hayden, tell the guys why you think Chicago is so good and so special.
Oh, in terms of the city itself, I was just blown away. I've done a lot of America, but Chicago is one place that I've never been to. I'm not even sure if it was on my radar. But then I actually got in the ballot last year. So I went out there and I was just blown away with the city. The whole place I just thought was just, everyone loves New York. Chicago's like I don't want to offend our American friends here. Chicago's like a clean New York.
Yeah.
It's just like you
get
everything
down the charts. Wilco.
Yeah.
You get everything you get from New York, but it's just nicer. It's a really nice place. Great vibe. And then to top it all off, you've got them. Actually, you haven't just got the marathon. And this is something I would say to anyone that's got in the ballot. It's really important. Make sure you do the 5K Chicago run, the Abbott run, the Saturday before, because that is absolutely fantastic.
So not extreme park run, Hayden. We're not taking a busload over the pond for an extreme park run.
No, but if anyone's going out to support or on the actual marathon day, if you want to take it easy, it's a good sort of shakeout run. That Chicago, it's called the bubble. They call it the bobble hat run because you get the blue Chicago bobble hat, and you just see like thousands of these blue bobble hats, and it's amazing. And then actually, and to top it off, then you wake up Sunday morning, and honestly, that marathon, you don't really appreciate it fully until you get back, and you get back in, you think that was just an experience I'm not sure I'll ever be lucky enough to do again. But lo and behold, luckily enough, I'm able to do it again. So yeah, I feel very lucky and very fortunate and very, very excited.
And Lou's got in again as well.
What's that?
Yeah, what happened with Louisa was she was sitting here one night in the set, and she said, "Oh, everyone's entering the ballot for Chicago. I really did like it." I said, "Well, enter the ballot." She went, "No, I'm not doing another marathon." A bit like Sabrina, I'm not doing not going out there doing that marathon again. Right, 10 minutes later, she went, "Oh, sorry, I've entered." I was like, "Okay, what shall I do? Shall I enter?" And so I looked at the good for age. Lucky enough, had the qualifying time, so I went on and I got accepted for the good for age. So I said to her, "If you don't get in the ballot, I'm going out there to run it now." So she was quite happy to come and support. But lucky enough, she got in and now she's got to run. So
yeah.
She's looking
Robert Hallam's just asked if you've got any sort of first timer tips for Chicago.
Oh, of course, yeah. Robert's got in as well, hasn't he? Yeah, another 4D. Literally, the most important. I think Sabrina mentioned it a while ago, and it's so easy to say and it's so cliche, but this is one race I think you've got to go out there and enjoy. Don't go out there thinking I'm going to go out there and really go for it, hurt yourself, knacker yourself out, and not enjoy the experience. I think this is one to go out there and just take it all in, soak up the atmosphere, because it really, really, honestly, really is special.
Yeah, and before we move on, Caroline Higginbottom, she's just come up with, she managed to get a place in Chicago and Berlin, except that Chicago will likely be just for the experience. But what should I do in the 2 weeks between them? Very gentle short runs. Al, with your coaching hat on, what would you say?
Yeah, so first up, make sure you recover from the first one. So don't do what I did, go straight out after London and start thinking, right, I got to smash out some intervals because I knackered my knee that way. So learn the hard way. Make sure you have a few days rest. And it is just low intensity work. You know, you won't lose any fitness in 2 weeks. Your body does need time to recover. Think about perhaps some cross training. You know, we always talk about swimming a lot here, but it's so good for you in terms of mixing up a bit of cardio and a bit of low intensity work. So just don't think you've got to go out and, you know, run another half marathon or anything just to try and keep that distance up. You won't need it if you trained hard.
Enjoy the experience of doing 2 great marathons, Caroline, I'd suggest. Yeah. So, Chris, we got anything else? Any other business?
Yeah, I've got one.
Okay, go on.
Sorry, just before we move on, tomorrow is Tracy Whittington's 100th park run at Oak Hill.
So it is.
And it's just really big shout out to her, because 100 park runs is amazing, right, for anyone. But she, I think, epitomises everything that this club and community is all about, in every way, shape, sense. And she's an incredible woman. She comes along to a Hertford club. Everyone, I think, that meets her, has had any interaction with her, would say the same thing. So just huge love to her, because I won't be there tomorrow now, sadly. But yeah, just wanted to give her a massive shout out.
I'll hold the fort. I'll go. Yeah. I'll be there.
She is, honestly, admin said it absolutely right. I think actually last week Ben and then and everybody there, and Tracy was there, and then Tracy, it just, as you say, it just captivates you and makes you realise what we're all about and the people that we are. They are incredible people, whether you're running 1,000 days or you're Tracy Whittington. You know what I mean? With that spirit of 40 runs that she has. I mean, honestly, I think if she got into Chicago, I probably would have tried to get over there, but just to run it with her, because you would have the best time of your life. If you ever want to run a marathon and you're nervous, run it with Tracy. You will have the best day ever. The woman is a hero. Honestly, I'm not saying that lightly. She absolutely 100% epitomizes everything that is 40 runs. She enjoys herself. She likes a bit of running. She's social, and she just has the best time, whatever she's doing. She's
turned
an
up
amazing
one Tuesday and announced that she was going on holiday, and me and Chris both said, "We'll come."
Yeah.
Because you know that you just have the time of your life. You'd have such a great time.
It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're on a train with her or running 26.2 miles with her. You will have the best time ever. She's just an amazing woman, and genuine, a true inspiration, like Ben, like Ann, and everybody else in this club and this community. You guys, seriously, I say it in the video on Sunday.
So
you genuinely are inspiring people. You don't realise the difference you're making to people by posting, coming along to these
North
satellites.
London tomorrow.
What's that, Wilco?
Oak Hill Park Run in North London. I think it's just off junction 24, the M25.
Wilco, I won't be there for the run as I'm doing Jersey, so I'm getting my J just down the road. But I'll see you for breakfast. We've been invited for breakfast, so make sure you save 2 seats for us.
What, Jersey? As in Jersey? You got to get a plane.
We're down Jersey Farm.
Jersey Farm in St Albans.
That's a bit lively to get from there to breakfast.
I'll travel anywhere for a good breakfast.
Gets 5K. He was in Poland the other day.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you'll go anywhere, the boy. Right, should we talk about running?
Get on to the main topic of the evening.
Yeah.
We ought to, really, being as we've advertised it. People would have switched off by now because your keen red runners, they'd have thought, they've been going on about all this other stuff. When are we going to get on to talking about running every day? So here we are. We're in the depths of December now, and January is quite a traditional time where people pick up the idea of running every day. So I'll just ask everybody, whether what your experience is. Have you ever been tempted, or have you ever sort of like chalked up a decent streak, or Hayden, have you, is it something you've ever looked into?
No, I must be honest, I haven't. I'm actually quite naive. I think it was only this year when I realised, if I'm honest, what red even stood for. I used to see people doing this red, and I was thinking, I don't even know what this is. So no, it's not something I've ever tried or even attempted. No.
What about you, Al?
I've done Red January for the charity once, and I combined it with Dry January and Veganuary. So that was a heck of a month.
Cocktail.
What are you going to do? You might as well go all in, mightn't you? Funny enough, I haven't done many streaks thereafter. I think it put me off.
Yeah. Sabrina, are you tempted?
No, not at all. I think it would take the enjoyment away from me. And therefore, I value my rest too much. So it's not for me. I have full credit to those that do it. And seeing Ben and Aline and then at the weekend was like inspiring. But yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, not something that I'm looking to consider.
So Chris, what would you say sort of like the pros and cons?
Well, hang on a minute. Let's go back a step. Right. Firstly, believe it or not, there's people already doing running in December. There's a Scottish thing that goes on because one of my clients is doing it. Big shout out to Annika. She's doing it. So it's already started, one of these monthly things. I've got no idea what it's called, but it's some big Scottish thing or something, and they're doing it. In terms of running every day, I would say it's a good discipline to get into if you can in January, because you may have slipped a little bit in December naturally because it's Christmas and whatnot, and you might be lacking some motivation. I think it's a good thing in terms of discipline and getting some consistency, which we talk about on here all the time. I also think it's good, and Ben and I spoke about this when we was running along. It's that ability of the body and mind to adapt to physical activity on a daily basis, like reasonable physical activity, and it seems to strengthen the body and the mind and be able to resist some of the pitfalls that new runners find. Like, my knees hurting, my IT band starts playing. After a while, you build that resistance in, and I think that's a good thing because you're developing your muscles and you're strengthening elsewhere and all that sort of stuff. So I think in terms of the sort of the what's it behind it, the consistency, that's a very good thing to find. But then you've got the physical and mental side of it, which will also put you in good stead because I don't know, maybe you're then going into marathon training or something, or you're not doing marathon training, but you will do at some point during the year. Having that consistency and learning and having the perseverance to go out every day will only hold you in good stead. I think it's very good. I may be wrong, but do they always raise money with Red January for charities? Al?
It started. I don't know if it started off. It's certainly. I can't remember the charity that does it, but you'll see the Red January T-shirts around at park run races over the coming weeks. So it is designed primarily to raise cash, but I think people have kind of jumped on it. Run streaks are probably a bigger thing in America actually than than they ever have been in this country. Having said that, though, Ron Hill ran every day for 57 years. Didn't do him any harm. He managed to get through to his 80s, didn't he? Running every day. So,
yeah,
it has got its pros and it's got its cons, and I'm sure we're going to discuss those.
Yeah, I think that I think the biggest. I think that biggest pro, the sort of light touch biggest pro is having the mental, capacity to be able to pick yourself up and get out the door, to have that built into you when you're at mile 23 and you're blown out your arse and everything's coming at you, to have that sort of built in your memory bank, the fact that, back in whenever you was able to run for every day, you show some form of mental strength that you're able to do it. And I think you can then lean on that. Or even if even if it's a half marathon and you're really gunning it and you've got like a mile to go to the finish line, you can lean back on those experiences from when you did do a run streak, and the mental memory that you've got from getting out that door every day. Because I tell you what, I just don't know how I don't know how Ben and then done it. I've got to be honest with you, how they did that and it wasn't like they were just going around the block either. They were doing, like he said to me, listen to the video. He says it's about 4.89 miles he was averaging over that 1,000. It's all on there, but it was about 4.89. That is impressive.
Ben posted some Strava during the summer, and he was on a couple of long journeys down to Exeter or somewhere, and he was stopping either at work or on his holidays to get out and do his run to make sure he didn't break his streak. So he was popping up in some weird and wonderful places, but that was because he's going, I've got to do this run, somehow I've got to fit it in. So it obviously created a bit of interest just in terms of where's Ben going to be this week.
I think that's Chris, you've touched upon sort of like having that mentality to get out every day. I think it sort of like turns around now, and Al's highlighted it, that you get to a certain stage when you're doing things where it becomes a bit of a slog and the habit takes over. I mean, I did this before I started running. I was doing language courses on the app, Duolingo. Lots of people.
Bonjour.
And so you do a certain amount every day to keep your streak going. And I'd built up quite a long one. And then it got to the stage where I was doing the minimum 10 minutes before midnight because I had to keep doing it. It wasn't actually giving me any benefit that it should have done doing the work, but I was just doing a piecemeal effort every day just to keep the effort going. So I always think that if I was doing this with the running, that I would find that I'd be like, oh God, I've got to get out for a mile. I've got to run a mile today. I've got to run 2 miles just to keep my streak going, where it might not necessarily be beneficial for me physically or mentally to carry on doing it. So if I did it for a month, if I did, and I would say, if you fancy giving it a go, do it for a month and see how you get on. Don't think, oh yeah, well, I'm going to run every day for a year. It's like anything. It's like it suggests, it's a day by day thing.
Yeah, it's a very individual, personal thing. I think, like anything that we do. But I do believe that setting yourself a goal at certain points in the year it is beneficial and it is proven, right? Because we get, the slumps and things like that. But I would edge a little bit on caution, exactly what admin said. You don't want to be that person who turns into hating it and loathing going out for a run, because you're meant to do this hobby or sport or whatever you want to call it because you like it or you love it, and you're doing it for whatever reason that is, whether it's, fitness, mental health, social, whatever it is, right? And you don't want to get in a position where you're hating it. But if you go into it with a mentality that this is a challenge that I'm accepting, I think you do tend to look at it a little bit differently. So I've not done a streak because physically I couldn't be asked. Mentally, I don't have the capacity and time. I just haven't got time. But I think if you look at it, instead of looking at it as, oh, I'm going to be running every day, I would look at it, I'm going to be challenging myself to do this. And when you challenge yourself, it's like when you jump out of a plane, you look at it different because it's a challenge against yourself. You're not thinking, you look at it differently, and it's looking at it a little bit, obscurely, that will maybe give you some form of motivating factor to do it differently than just going out and slogging it out.
All I would say about that is, though, if it's a challenge, you need a finish point, surely.
Yeah, the end of the month, or 1,000 days, like Ben said, or whatever it is that you set, because he said that he wanted to run for a week during, I think it was, again, watch the video, but during the pandemic. And then he was setting himself goals the whole way. So it was that challenge effect. And it's the same thing with Red January, giving them a shout out. You know, you've got to run for January, the guys who are doing it in December. It's setting yourself that challenge of doing it, running to the airport or whatever, because you've got, as you say, that end goal, but you're not focused on what you're actually necessarily doing. Does that make sense? It doesn't become a pain in the bum to do it because it's a challenge. So that's the way I would look at it.
No, and that's what Mark Davidson just said as well. He said that he did 100 days, but his wife told him to stop because he was getting obsessed and just thinking about ticking off the next run. So there's a balance, isn't there? Which is what we're saying, which is if it's a challenge, you're looking for that end goal or to keep yourself motivated, great. But also don't take the enjoyment out of it. Don't do it to a point where it's a ticking box and you suddenly start to lose that love or that.
Have you seen that comment just come in?
Yes.
I'm on a long run pod streak. That's it, go. Red January for everyone. Listen to
one hell of a challenge. Yeah, when you get to the end, just go back to the start and keep going. See how many laps you can do.
The other important one was Mark Dyer asking what's Toby's rest day streak record.
He's on it. It's 365 at the moment, isn't it, Tony?
I reckon about 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Maybe 3.
Don't tell lies. That's your taper before your taper.
And the man himself's just rocked up. Ben Bailey, I agree. 1,000 days is crazy. I'm still loving it. If I stop enjoying it, the streak will end. Until then, streak on.
Hero.
Great. Absolutely brilliant.
That's the thing.
It's such an individual thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I took most away from Ben from Ben was how much he was just loving life. It's really uplifting. Look, watch it. The interview with it. He's just loving it. He's just loving it. Oh yeah, I'll carry on. If I get up, I'll go. You know, it's like it's fantastic to hear. It doesn't matter again, and then it, you know, for her own personal challenge, which is amazing and inspiring in itself. So it's whatever that challenge is and how you look at it. But I think as long as you're enjoying the challenge or whatever you're doing, and it doesn't matter whether it's the challenge of going on a bike or going for your first swim or eating your first burrito, going to your first honky tonk. It doesn't matter what that is. I think it's the way you look at it and approach it. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely think that having those small challenges and those small targets to keep ticking along is the way to go. What do you reckon, Abe? Would you think that's sort of right?
I think the most appealing thing about it to me, I'm not that interested in it. It's not something I really want to do. But the most appealing thing is, by its nature, these people that do it, they do run every day, so they're not getting injured. And for me, that's a massive, massive plus. To run 1,000 days without injury, maybe it's the thing to do. I know people say you need to rest to let your body heal, but if people are running for 1,000 days in a row every single day without injury, as Chris picked up on earlier, your body starts ticking over and learning how to deal with things, and it gets stronger. Use the same muscles, the same capillaries. And I don't know. Maybe it's the way to train.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Like, because I agree. You look at these guys, and Ben, people that are doing hundreds of days as well, right? We're talking about those two because I mean, what they've achieved is amazing. There are other people we know in our community as well that done that. But it's interesting because as a coach, when you do your training and when you write plans, and I guess Toby, Chris, Al, etc. When you write plans, I would never write a plan which tells someone to run every day.
For 1,000 days. Imagine doing that. Imagine having to write a plan for 1,000 days.
It's a lot of paper, isn't it?
It's a lot of paper. That
you need one of them big pads, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that'd be a big. That would be. I don't think I could be bothered to do that. I'll be straight up. Anybody who wants to get in touch and wants a training plan for 1,000 days, don't bother asking me. Go Ben Parks. Just ask Ben Parks. He can do it for 1,000 days. Just ask him. I can't be bothered, honestly. But no, you're right. We work in cycles.
Yeah.
You know, we work in mesocycles and all this sort of stuff, right? But yeah, it's this definitely comes back to what we always say on this channel, which is about number one, which is about consistency. Listen to, was it last week? I can't remember where we did the one about the marathon training, writing a marathon training plan.
Yeah, last week.
You know,
we did
the thread that ran through that was consistency. And it's the same thing with these streets. It's all about that consistency of going out and running every day. You know, your body is developing and your mind's developing at the same time. It's an incredible thing. It really is. I would recommend it to people to try, but if you're whoever said it, if you're hating, I would, if you're hating it, I would stop. Then you're going too far. But yeah, look at it as a challenge. Maybe, like I said, or we said, set a goal of running something small, like even just do a streak for a week. And there's Ian runs London on Instagram. He dives in and out of streaks. So it does work. It can work for you. So it's definitely worth looking into something, and especially if you do Red January, because there's loads of people who do it, so you'll get motivation through there. There's a big Facebook community that they built around that as well, so you can get the motivation to do that. You can buy red T-shirts. Everybody knows that you're doing it and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of awesome. I've seen some questions coming in, guys. By the way,
there's a question just come in from Robert Smith, which isn't related to red, but it is related to the cold bloody weather at the moment. Which is, does anyone else have trouble dressing for the cold and then overheating?
Yeah. No, well, I don't have, but I have done in the past. Well, it's a shame size not on here, because it was brilliant when we went to what was that event that he absolutely hammered the other day, but I really enjoyed.
Narrows it down.
Oh, a big half, probably in September, by the way. London Marathon events. I don't know if I meant to say that or not. But no, it was the other one in run through event.
The Olympic Park.
Yeah,
Olympic Park.
All he did was moan it was too hot the whole time. So you have to dress for mile. What is it? Mile 3.
Mile 2. Dress for the second mile.
There you go. So always do that. Yes, you don't want to get cold, but always dress for that second mile or third mile or whatever it is. And make sure. Actually, more probably now than this is a silly thing to say, but more now in the summer is, I think, where the technical kit does come into its own. Because if you're layering up and you're wearing wick-proof stuff and and proper clothing that's suited for the temperatures, because some of the stuff you can't buy according to temperature and blah 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 blah, with all that sort of stuff, you can actually work out better. So you're not in thick layers and things like that. And it's always worth considering. I know money's tight and all that sort of stuff. So just go out with sensible layers. So you're going, Abby.
I think Stu Flynn gave a good bit of advice. Oh, sorry, Al, 1 second. Was dress for 10 degrees warmer than it is. So if it says it's 5 degrees, dress as if it was 15 degrees. What would you go out in then? Does that help? So it makes you think about actually what your body temperature is going to be like at that second mile, as Al said.
Yeah, it's a good shout.
And to build on that, you can always warm up indoors. It's about raising your heart rate to get that blood pumping and circulate. And that's why, it's not necessarily the second mile, but it's after 5, 10, 15 minutes. So if you can do some, cardio workout indoors when you're layered up, less so, your body's ready to accommodate when you get out into the cold. Because that's the temptation, is it? It's blooming cold outside. So you stick those layers on. 10 minutes later, you're just regretting your life choices.
You're roasting. Yeah, it's mad. On Wednesday. I just had a t-shirt and a coat. It was like mine, whatever. But I just had a t-shirt. But I had a coat on, but I had windproofness in it, whatever you call it, windshield, whatever. And it did the job. So yeah, I would. It is tricky. Don't get me wrong, because some of the guys were moaning about it, that they were too hot, and some guys were moaning they're too cold. It's a fine art to get it, especially when the temperature changes real quick on you as well. It's not like it's gradual. It's a really hard thing to get, but I think, as I said, if you can get some good clothing, it tends to work it out.
Do you know what I find a problem at the moment when we're going out in the night time? I don't know if you lot find the same. It's the whole operation of getting ready. Do you know, it takes about half an hour to get ready to go out. By the time you put your 3 or 4 tops on, it takes forever. I say to Louisa, I'm just going to go out for a run. She said, okay. Like 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, she comes out, you haven't gone yet. What's going on? It takes ages.
I ran site today. I said to him, I was at work, and I said to him, I'm going to go and do, I think, I literally only had time for 3 miles. He said, why are you bothering? He said, it'll take you longer to get ready and get changed when you come back than it will that you will be running. He said, what's the point for 3 miles? And I went, you know what? You're bang on. It's true though, isn't it? Base layer, t-shirt, jacket, get out the door.
Did you try calling Toby and he ignored you, or did you not bother today?
I don't bother call Toby anymore because he blatantly ignores me. And what he does, he's got it on his watch. So he knows when I message him, right? And he just ignores those messages. It's just rudeness. It is pure rudeness. But when you guys are in Chicago and he's left with me, I'll be like his best friend again. You watch.
He's
Is that
coming
what
up.
you want or I want?
No, you know you want it, Toby. He's just excited because he's got this new stride pod thing, right? He's like, oh, I've got a new stride pod. He's so excited about it. I've got absolutely no interest in it, but he keeps geeking out about all his stats and stuff like that. It's very uninteresting. If you've got a stride pod, put it in the comments or send an email into wedon'tcare@.com or
What's
whatever
one
it
of
is.
them?
What? You know what it is? So you've got 30 seconds so people don't like Hayden looks like he's going to fall asleep anyway. But go on, 30 seconds to explain what. And by the way, hang on. If Stride pod want to sponsor the channel, how do they do that, Wilco?
And they drop us a line at longrunshow.com/40. No,
But it's got to be 6 figures.
40runs.com.
30 seconds, go.
He changed the rules. I had the other one licked and he's changed it all. And I won't know.
Type, come on, 30 seconds.
It's like a power meter for running, basically. If you're in cycling, so Chris will understand this, where you get a power meter on the crank, so you run to power as opposed to heart rate or pace, because in theory that's a more constant metric.
Ooh.
It's basically what it boils down to. So you have zones 1 to 5, but it's based on power and effort levels.
And how powerful are you, Tobe?
Not powerful enough. Problem is you have to run fairly regularly and do different types of running for it to actually.
So it's pointless. It's pointless.
So it doesn't register. So
absolute waste of money.
I've improved. So I went walking.
So you don't generate much power by doing your hectic job.
I don't wear it during that.
Can I just say now as well? This is the second one. This is the second one he's bought.
No, because the other one's got a tie in it. Because now Si's geeking out on it. So the two of them are like two little stride pod twins. Oh, look what I did on that. Honestly, you listen to them, you just want it gets to the point that you almost want to get on a bike, but you don't, because then you realise that's a stupid idea.
But you probably wear it on the bike. We can get a power meter.
It's too cold to be on a bike.
Yeah, who wants
to?
I've
got one on order. We could do like a side spin-off show. What do you reckon?
Let's go for it.
What's just the stats only.
Stat show.
Right. I've got no interest in it. I'll make Mark Dyer. It just says it's an offender tag. That's exactly what it is. People who wear them, they're offending me by wearing them. So that's you. You're offending me by wearing. And it's annoying because then he tells you afterwards. We've done Amsterdam Marathon. He was smug as it was, right? Because he ran 3:46, and then he's telling me he's going through all his power readings over lunch. It was so dull. Honestly, he's the most boring person in the world. Now he's got this tripod thing. It was bad. What?
To be fair, it works because that on the stride, it can estimate your 5K, your 1 mile, your marathon. And I was within, and it says within about 5 minutes, but I was within 2 minutes.
5 minutes, Toby, that's a lot.
What, 5 minutes for 5K?
I was within 2 minutes of its estimated time. So I think it's pretty good.
You could have gone faster.
You could have gone fast and the course was short, so that doesn't make any sense. And if you'd spent less time with those girls that night, you would have gone quicker anyway. So there you go. Spend less money on women in your hotel and more money on training and coaching, and you'll go faster, boy.
More money on beetroot juice, I reckon.
Beetroot burgers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a completely different story.
That is. Sorry, we've gone totally off topic as usual. Apologies for that.
So I'd like to think that we've covered the red sort of issue, though. I mean, good luck to everybody who's going to embark upon it in January. And, well, we've got 2 weeks until Christmas, really. Have we thought about what we'd like on our Christmas list? What's our bit of kit or anything like that we might like somebody nice to buy? Well, you've just said that you don't want one, and I'm going to take it back.
No, my sales pitch is obviously brilliant.
What's that, Tobe?
My sales pitch is obviously amazing.
No, you sold it to me. Sold it 100%.
So, you know what's going to happen? I'll get a phone call the next time he goes out for a run with Toby and Si, and they'll be at mile 10, and I'll get a phone call. These two are leaving me out because they're just looking at their stride pods.
Oh, yeah,
and tell them that's exactly what's going to happen.
And is there anything more boring than people looking at their reading about their stat and talking about it?
It is boring. And you've got to be one of these. You've got to be one of these super fast, thin Instagrammers to get one from Koros to send out to review. Apparently, so if you don't run under like 3.5 hours, 3-hour marathon, they're not interested in sending stuff to you, or you're a paid journalist, they won't send you anything. So don't bother with the Koros one. Go for Stride because they're probably going to be watching this pod after Toby's big sales pitch he did. Well done, Tobe. Tobe's going to be wearing that and running in sore running kit. I can see it now.
He's going his own way. He's his own brand.
He's his own.
No, that involves running.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I just wanted to give a big shout out here to Gillian Denyer, who sent a lovely message saying, "Thank you for changing my Friday night for the better. I race home to listen to you."
I apologise. You haven't missed.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry about that. But you was talking about Christmas. There is big news in the Ford household.
Ooh.
A bike has arrived. Right?
Really?
But that's all I'm saying.
Shaking his head, everybody.
That's all I'm saying on it. And all I would say to you is, my mates, right? My mates. One of them had parenting duties, and the other one was busy. Videos coming out in 2 weeks. Just wait for that. Well, that's all I say on that subject. But I'm not talking. We're not wasting people's time talking about biking on here anymore. It's just a complete waste of everybody. Biking is just a waste of time.
But you've got one now, then.
Oh, is it only 2 weeks before Christmas? Seriously?
It is. Well, it's 2 weeks Christmas on Sunday. Yes, and
what are you getting for Christmas, Wilco? What have you asked for Christmas? And don't tell me Brooks.
No, the Brooks days are gone, mate.
Oh, he's gone hardcore. Look, we converted him. So what are you going for? What are you going to get?
I don't know. I've only just bought. I'm getting to that stage where I'm collecting trainers, and
good boy.
I need somewhere to store my trainers because I don't have a garage.
Oh, buy another house, flat. Buy the one next door, and you can put me in there, and then I can put mine in there.
Well, we could just have a trainer storage facility in Stansted Abbots.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Well, actually, and also it'd be good because when Nick finally kicks me out, because it's going to happen at some point, isn't it? Then at least I've got a place to crash.
Oh,
poor woman's had to put up with me for all this time. What about you, Admin? What are you going for? Well, you better save your money, girl. Now you got to go to Chicago. Oh, by the way, I want a bobble hat out of one of you lot. I want you. Firstly, you've got to go and crash Gafuzi's shakeout run. We're taking that over. I've not told him yet. He won't listen to this. But also, I want one of those bobble hats. I don't care who nicks it, borrows it, buys it, whatever you do. You better cannot come back empty-handed.
Surely that's like buying somebody's FA Cup winners medal or something. If you ain't gone and earned a bobble hat, then you don't deserve to wear one.
Is that true?
Yes.
Hayden? No, I want to know what Hayden's saying.
The bobble hat you get at the so when you go to the expo for the main marathon, you only get the bobble hat if you do the 5K the day before, not the main marathon. And when you're at the expo, you get your running number and you get your bobble hat there.
I'll do it virtually. How's that? Can I not do it virtually?
I don't think that works.
I'll do it virtually, and then one of you can borrow one for me, and I'll have it because I want one.
Speak to your mate Kafuzi. He's like Chicago royalty.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And actually, no, I better not spoil it. But he hammered me on something he's done for me. Absolutely hammered me. What are you going for Christmas?
So, well, there's two things on my list that I've sent to my kids when they kind of just roll their eyes. One is the socks, and obviously the rest of the population dreads getting socks. But actually, when you're a runner, the options are just so limitless. I always look for a good pair of compression socks. The other one, I've actually put down. I want a taster pack from a nutrition company, Vela Forte. So I've tried some of their products before. So I've said to my kids, "Why don't you subscribe for me?" That way.
So is that pre-post race, during
Does
the race?
So this taster pack will give you a bit of everything. It will give you recovery drinks. It will give you electrolyte tablets. It will give you stuff to eat whilst you're training for your carbs. So, it comes ready-made. You don't have to think about it. And if I like it, then bang, out goes a subscription at the end of January for the rest of the year. So my kids think I'm really dull, but actually those two will be really appreciated.
Yeah, that's
more so than most other things.
That is a good present. What about you, Hayden? Apart from like a night in your own house.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I think primarily, I'd like a new knee. That would help. A new left knee. A new left knee. Honestly, I'd be over the moon with that. I would wake up. I might write to the big man in the red suit and literally I'm going to plead for a new knee. But if that don't come through, if that don't come through, then I wouldn't mind actually. I'd like one of the Provis jackets because I know they're pricey. It's not something you really want to go and spend your money on, but if it's Christmas, someone wants to buy it for me. Quite like the Provis jackets. I'll have one.
Yeah, but the only thing I'd say about them, because they sent me one a few years ago, I still got it. But I'm sweating them. Yeah. My one the other night. When I said to you the other night, I had that and a coat on. I was in that, and I don't think. I mean, if they want to sponsor this award-winning podcast, welcome. But I'll be honest with you, you can get cheaper on Amazon. It does the same thing. That's the only thing.
Gilet, and even that's quite hot.
Yeah, they do. You're like getting cooked like a turkey. You know what I mean, on the inside. So they need to sort themselves out a bit. It's amazing the technology in terms of the safety. I love it. And I've got a pair of Provis gloves on Black Friday. But the jacket, Hayden, honestly, mate, you might be better off with the gilet actually, because at least you can breathe. Because you're
Mind you, if you're trying to lose a few pounds.
Yeah, you do sweat it out. Yeah, but the boy's so thin, he's ripped. Look at him. Look, you wouldn't realise he's 65. That's why he keeps getting all these good for age.
That's what it's all about. That's what it is.
Mate, I'm catching up.
You don't want to do another pair of Zigamas, Hayden?
Why would I want a new pair? I've got an outstanding pair at the moment. They're just like
terrible. They should be used to heat your home.
Mate, I hope your video on Saturday shows me going through that grass. It just like
got edited out. It all got edited out.
Yeah, would do.
Toad, what are you going for?
I'm hoping for a new development by Aftershocks. So I reckon that they're going to be bringing out this new set of headphones where you can tune it to a certain voice so it can phase it out as you're running along. So as soon as that comes out, I mean, I'd actually trade the Stride Pod for the headphones.
Really? That's a strong statement, because that boy loves his tripod. So you're looking, what if you ain't got no idea? Basically, what he's asking for is something that drowns me out. That is basically what he's asking for.
Failing that, I'm waiting for the next discount code in the FORDY store.
Hey, what a legend! Straight in there. He's not on com. Well done, son. Well done. Oh dear. Right, are we nearly there, aren't we?
57.
Better off with a free train vest. You know what? That's a good shout, actually. I think we've got some of them coming in from the guys at Free Train to test and stuff. I can't comment on it, but I know who is it? Was it Mel Howes who wears one? Hayden.
Yeah, it does, and I think that's Mel. Even though she's got Facebook user come up, I think that's Mel commenting because she's commented and saying, "We all know Hayden loves a jacket, and that's what she loves. Take the mick out of me of."
Yeah, it's a good shout if that is you, Mel. I hope you're all right. But
are they the things where you put your phone down the front and?
Yeah. So we're going to be testing them on the channel because they've got a new one with this bottle thing in it, and but yeah, they're a good chat because again, you get the reflective element, but you're not overheating. Which, as I said, unfortunately, with the Provis stuff, I guess because the type of material it is, it's very hard to make you breathe. Because on the back of it, it's all. I've got one in there, but I can't be bothered to move. But on the back of it, it's got that mesh thing to try and let some of that air out. But they. Yeah. He's off. The boy's off.
I've got mine here.
But remember, this is an audio-based format, Wilco.
They
can't. If you're running along the River Lee you're on 10 miles this weekend, they ain't going to.
I'm demonstrating for those who have tuned in. For the other people.
Right. Well, he had a Provis jit up, so we're recommending that instead of thing. And Provis definitely need to pay us now for the shout outs that we've done for you. 100%.
I'll have to change my letter to Santa.
Yeah, change it. Take the Zigamas off and put that on instead.
Right then, I think we're about there then. So just a couple of announcements. We're going to do next week. Sabrina, what's going on next week?
It is Lady Special next week. I'm really excited. I will be back with Mel, who has been commenting, Gemma Pedler, and we've got a guest actually who is Wild Ginger Running. So she's run a number of ultras. You can find her on Instagram, but we will introduce her next week. So I'm super excited to be back here with the girl gang. So tune in, and if you've got any questions, anything you want us to cover, girls and guys, please drop me a note or send us via the contact page. So fordyruns.com/long run. So yeah, get in contact.
So we look forward to hearing that next week. And then we're going to, the week after, we're doing a pre-record, which we're going to do in a minute. Looking back on all our personal and collective highlights of 2022. So thanks ever so much for your company, everybody. And thanks to you for joining in, dear listeners, with your questions and observations. Thank you very much. You can catch us here on YouTube and Facebook at 7 o'clock every Friday. But if you can't manage to do that, then we are available on your usual podcast provider of choice. So you can get us on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, all those sort of people. Please give us a review. Please tell your friends how great we are. Any comments, drop us a line, fordyruns.com/longrun. Otherwise, join the Facebook community. Have a look on there. Send us some stuff. It will get to us and we can chat about some things. So thank you very much.
Things really quickly. I'll be 30 seconds, I promise.
Go on.
East is RD at Sixfields, Upton Park 1 tomorrow. Is that right? There's a load of Fordys heading that way. So if
in
you
Northampton,
if you are there around there, please go and shout. Give Louise a shout.
Good luck, Louise.
And the other one is it's friend of the show Billy's birthday, which we haven't seen for birthday. Lots of love to Billy and happy birthday. And just before we end, sorry, I remembered that one.
Two good shout outs there.
Well, that's great. And thanks ever so much for your company again. Join Sabrina and the girls next week. And we shall see you soon. Enjoy your running this week. Stay safe. Don't get too cold. And we'll see you again.